Hello and good morning to another Faculty Friday. Today we are doing the Department of Biology, and we're going to dive into all of their course offerings, all of their programs, and so much more. We are joined by a special guest from the Department of Biology, but we'll dive into that in just a second. So to start off, I would like to remind all of our viewers and all of our audience members a little bit about what we've covered this week on the Lakehead International Live Series. We did the Student Success Center on our Monday meetup. Our Tuesday and Thursday live sessions on Instagram were with Pang, an education and math student, and Simran, an applied life sciences student. And she obviously would fall nicely into this webinar in this department. Some of our upcoming webinars include this Monday, where we'll be meeting up with the Academic Zone for another Monday meetup. So for those of you who haven't joined us before, my name is Jordan. I am the International New and Social Media Officer here at Lakehead University. That means that I help oversee our social media channels, our online presence, our website, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I'll pass it off to Patrick, one of our recruitment officers now.
Morning, everybody. My name is Patrick Carr. I'm one of the international recruitment officers here at Lakehead University. Happy to be joining you today. I primarily work with students out of Africa, the Caribbean, as well as the Middle East, but happy to answer any Lakehead questions you may have about anything, and for my colleagues who are based around the world.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Patrick. And next we'll pass it off to our special guest, Dr. Heidi, who is an associate professor within the Department of Biology.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Heidi Schraft, and I will try to give you an overview of the biology programs and answer any questions you may have about those programs.
Awesome. Well, we're definitely excited to have you and dive into the program. For those of our viewers who have joined us for a previous Faculty Friday, you know that typically we're on live for about an hour. Today we have a shortened session, so we'll have Heidi with us until 10:30, which is 30 minutes away now. So we're going to dive right into it after I do a few more slides. So what we're going to cover today is we're going to go over a program overview, some of the programs offered within the department, areas of study, areas of concentration, all that sort of stuff. Course selection, some of the important courses or some of the most popular industry relevant courses. We're also going to chat about experiential learning opportunities, student research opportunities, and last but not least, we'll chat about career outcomes and sort of that pathway to either a career or potentially continuing your education. Things to remember throughout today's webinar: if you like what you see, don't you worry. It will be uploaded to our YouTube channel after the fact. Our YouTube channel is Lakehead University, and the playlist you're looking for is the Lakehead International Live playlist. If you do have questions, pardon me, and you're joining us on the Zoom platform, you can use the Q&A function to submit questions. For the first half hour, we will be focusing on strictly biology questions, just given the fact that we have our special guest for a limited amount of time. If you're joining us over on Zoom, you can always comment on that live video as well, and we'd be happy to answer. We have Lakehead experts behind the scenes helping you. And last but not least, if you're watching this as a recording on our Facebook or on our YouTube channel, you can always comment on the video still. We will receive that notification, and we will certainly get back to you with an answer in a timely manner. My last final note before we jump into the biology info is I always encourage our viewers to stay connected with us, follow us on our social media channels. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. For those of you in China, we're also on Weibo, WeChat, and Youku. It's a great way to learn about what we're offering right now, so some of the upcoming live events, some of the virtual events that we're doing, but also just get updated and stay up to date with some of the major announcements coming out of the university, given the current situation and whatnot. And my final note today before we dive into it is, of course, we are all working remotely from our own homes. So if you do hear anything that isn't typical to an office environment, I know myself and Patrick both have dogs. And so if you hear some barking, I do apologize in advance. But we are trying to provide and stay connected with you at all times. And so this is the new normal for right now. And with that, I would love to jump into the topic of biology. And with that, I'll say and pass it off to Heidi. Could you dive into sort of what programs are offered within the department itself?
Okay, I can do that. So the programs out of the Department of Biology, you can divide in general into two main streams or main types of programs. One main type would be the honors BSc in biology, and the other main type would be the honors BSc in applied life sciences, which we abbreviate as APLS. Both of those two main programs are 4-year programs, and they have most of the students in biology are enrolled in those two programs, about 120 students over the 4 years in each of those two programs. We have other programs in biology, such as a combined major of biology chemistry, a major in environmental science, a 3-year program in natural science, and also a bachelor's of education program where you can concentrate in biology. Those programs, they have fewer students, about 60 overall, so I'm not going to go in much detail about those programs. However, if you have questions about them, just post them on the Q&A and I'll try to answer. So I'm going to go back to those two main programs, the biology major and the applied life sciences major. And I always get the question, what's the difference between the two? So the difference is that in the biology major, you will focus in your 4 years of study in a general idea of biology. So you will cover both the cell molecular aspects of biology, as well as the other side or the other part of biology, which focuses on ecology and environmental biology. In the other major, in the applied life sciences major, you will focus your study primarily on the cell and molecular aspects of biology. So you will not have required courses in ecology, environmental sciences. So students who, and some students really don't like that field ecology type work of biology, they will tend to then enroll in the applied life sciences major. And then there's other students who really don't like the cell molecular idea, which involves quite a bit of chemistry, for example. So if that's you, then you would likely more steer towards the biology major. Both are 4-year programs. With respect to what you will be studying in those programs, your first and second years are very similar for both majors. In first year, you will be taking biology, first year biology, first year chemistry, first year calculus. In the applied life sciences major, you will have required addition to take a physics, a first year physics. In second year, also similar for both programs, you take cell biology, genetics, and then in the biology major, you will take ecology. And in the applied life sciences major, you will take required organic chemistry, and you will also take anthropology courses, because we do the evolutionary aspect of biology from an anthropology standpoint in APLS. And in the biology major, we look at evolution more from a population ecology type aspect. In third year then, in the biology major, you will choose mostly from various lists. And there, the list that you choose in the biology major, now you get that reflection of having to take both field ecology courses. So you will take courses or choose courses from lists in field ecology type courses, environmental type courses, as well as from a second list that focuses on cell molecular biology. And in the APLS major, in your third and fourth year, you will also take choices from lists, but now these lists are all more in the cell molecular type courses, and not really required field and ecology courses. Doesn't mean you can't take them. They will be counting towards open electives if you still wanted to get some field ecology type experiences. So then,
sorry, thank you for covering that in great detail, and thank you also for giving us a preview as to what the students will be looking at course-wise in their first and second year, and then beyond, of course, as well. I know that's a really common question we always receive from our students, is sort of, what courses will I be taking this fall, or what courses will I have to take versus what can I take as an elective? And for those of our viewers that are joining us, I also encourage you, we've met up with a number of students that have done programs within the Department of Biology or have done courses within the Department of Biology over on our Instagram Lives. And all of those recordings are on YouTube, and you can actually hear about their student experience within those sorts of programs and courses. So Heidi, I also, I know that you have some industry relevant courses that you wanted to highlight too within each year level of year 3 for biology, and then for applied life sciences, there is a second year course that you were going to highlight as well. Oh, I think you're just on mute there.
Sorry, now I got unmuted.
No
Yeah,
worries.
we have some courses that students like and that we feel are kind of unique to our programs at Lakehead. In the biology major, a required course that you will be taking is in the 3rd year. The course is called ethnobotany. And you may or may not know that, but at Lakehead University, in any program you're taking, a student will have to take at least one course that has Indigenous content. And what we have done in the Department of Biology, we have taken our strength and knowledge in linkages with local, our Indigenous communities to create a course that looks at using and applying botany and plant use by Indigenous peoples. So that course is a lecture plus lab course, so you get to actually experience, explore some of those applications of plants by Indigenous peoples. The second course I wanted to highlight for biology is for the field experience in Northwestern Ontario. We have an experimental lakes area. So that's an area where there's a whole lot of lakes that are used for various experiments. And Lakehead University has access to those lakes. So you can take a field course, normally in the summer, where you would actually do lake research in that experimental lakes area. It's about a 2-3 hour drive away from Thunder Bay. For the Applied Life Sciences program, our flagship course is a 2nd year course that's called Lab Biology. The Applied Life Sciences program, in addition, focuses on more cell molecular aspects of biology. We also have a strong emphasis on hands-on research experiences. And the Lab Biology course is where students start to really get into that. That course involves only a 1 hour brief introduction, and the rest of the, it's about 5 hours every week. Students will spend in the lab performing actual lab experiments, so really getting those hands-on skills. The other aspect for APLS with those hands-on skills that we have, and we haven't talked yet about majors and different variations of majors and concentrations, but within the Applied Life Sciences umbrella, we have a program that's offered joint in Southern Ontario, in Orillia and Barrie, with a college, with a Georgian college. That major, when you pursue that, within 4 years, you will get an honors BSc, a 4-year university degree in Applied Life Sciences, and also a college degree in biotechnology with a health focus. And what college degrees in Ontario do is they prepare students hands-on, job ready to work in industry. So a student in that program will, and that's a highlight of that program, you will be taking college courses that will get you that hands-on experience, so that at the end, when you are completed that program, you will actually be ready to go out into the world of work directly, because you have that college degree.
For sure. And while we're on the topic, I would certainly love to dive into the different concentrations and majors within each of those programs. So I'll pass it over to you again to highlight those.
Yeah, so I want to first briefly say what is a major and what is a concentration. Students always get a little confused. So in very simple terms, from a biology perspective, a major is an overall general field of study, like I outlined, biology or applied life sciences. A concentration then is a way where you concentrate the choices of courses onto a specific area. So you will, in a concentration, You will still follow the general bigger picture of requirements for biology or applied life sciences. But then when you choose from those different lists that I mentioned, you have a narrowed selection of choice, and the selection is concentrating you on a specific area. So in biology, the concentrations that you can do would be in animal sciences, plant sciences, or biodiversity. And then we have a fourth concentration in neuroscience. So for animal science, plant science, biodiversity, pretty straightforward. Your choices of list courses will be with animals, will be with plants, or biodiversity ideas. For neuroscience, it's a little bit more special there, since neuroscience combines the science of the nerves and neurology from a biology perspective, but also from a psychology perspective. In the neuroscience concentration, you would focus on courses on the biology side of neurology, a lot of biomedical ideas, as well as you will have required psychology courses. This program is very popular for students wanting to go to medical school type of programs. In applied life sciences, we have the general applied life science major, and then we have one concentration in biomedical sciences, where you will, again, similar with neuroscience, concentrate your course selection on the biomedical field. And then we have that additional major in applied life sciences, where you can take that combined college diploma. One little side note on location. You may know that Lakehead has the Thunder Bay main campus, and we also have a campus in Aurelia called Lakehead Aurelia. So the applied life sciences major you can also pursue at the Aurelia campus. The biology major you can only pursue at the Thunder Bay campus.
Awesome, thank you for noting that. And just noting the time, we have a little over 10 minutes left with you, and I certainly don't want to miss out on the opportunity to cover some of the really interactive experiences built into both of those programs. So could you elaborate on some of the experiential learning opportunities that are available within our organization, within our institution, but also potentially within the community itself?
Yeah, so I'll start with APLS first this time. So for applied life sciences, a lot of students in this program are interested in the biomedical type fields. So we do have at Lakehead University a medical school, the Northern Ontario Medical School, who has faculty members that do basic biomedical research. And those faculty members do accept students into their research labs to pursue that research, and many applied life sciences students will actually go into those research labs, getting that really hands-on exposure to biomedical research in the lab, and some research even in some clinical trials, vaccine trials, things like that. We have a researcher that does cancer research, where our students participate in that area. And Lakehead University also has the hospital, which is basically walking distance, a medical imaging research group, and many of the applied life sciences students will involve research there. Thirdly, within applied life sciences, we have faculty from the anthropology department participating, looking at human evolution, development of disease, a new faculty member that looks at ancient use of food. And those faculty members, they do field research all over the world, and students again have the opportunity to participate in those field experiences. And that participation can either be in the summer, or it can be as part of a course that you will take during your program. Similar idea for the biology majors. So the same interests and opportunities that I just mentioned for applied life sciences, they're all open to biology majors as well. In addition, what many biology majors like, they now are interested in that ecology, environmental science applications and implementations. So we have, I mentioned the experimental lakes research area, so you can take courses there, being involved in, for example, collecting data, evaluating data. We have in the department a very strong research to the Ontario Centre for Northern Forest Research, where you could do some forestry research applications, mostly fisheries and birds. And we also have a herbarium at Lakehead University, where we are involving students as well with experiential learning opportunities.
Awesome. It's really interesting to hear about all the different opportunities that students are available to participate in, but also some of the significant impact and research areas that are significantly relevant given the current times, especially too. And chatting more about those research opportunities, could you highlight some of the some recent projects that our students have been doing within research in either program?
Yeah, I could pick 2 examples from honors thesis project. So an honors thesis project is a student in their 4th year. They work for a full year on a very specific project that they do together with a faculty member. Every year we have between 10 and 20 students actually doing such projects. And I picked 2, one from the APLS area, so more a biomedical area. There was a student who worked with a faculty member at the Northern Ontario School of Medicine who looks at a bacterial pathogen that's called Haemophilus influenza. And that pathogen invades cells and survives in those cells. So the student was using cell cultures and that bacterial pathogen to study and investigate how this pathogen survives in those cells and how this may lead then to actually causing disease in patients. An example from a biology student, he was working with researchers from the experimental lakes area, where he was looking at lake trout that they were growing in an aquaculture type setting, so commercial growing. They set that up in the lake, and he was studying whether and how those lake trout would accumulate mercury over their growing periods to then find out how this could be mitigated, because mercury is toxic. So you want to make sure there is no high mercury toxic concentrations in the fish that is grown in aquaculture.
Interesting, and obviously those highlight 4th year honors thesis projects and very significant projects, but as you've mentioned, as we've already discussed, built into typically every course or almost every course within each of the programs is research opportunities and is hands-on learning experiences that students can be involved in. Of course, we always encourage our students to take the next step and also connect with other faculty members and their professors and offer their assistance in their personal research opportunities, because we know that many of our students are also pursuing further education, typically into maybe a med school, for example, or one of the professional schools that are available. And a part of that application, more importantly now, they're placing a larger emphasis on volunteerism, research, all that sort of stuff, whereas traditionally it was viewed as always very strong into the academic merit and marks and grades and whatnot. And to highlight one of that, I know, Heidi, you mentioned that students in applied life sciences do a 2nd year course in laboratory biology. So we met up with a current student yesterday, Simran, who's in applied life sciences. She's going into her 4th year, and she actually noted that that was her favorite research opportunity that she's been involved in. That entire course was extremely exciting for her, and she mentioned that on the very first day of class, they actually got into the classroom environment and they planted seeds for a vegetable plant, which was a pea. And then throughout the entire semester, from day 1 all the way to the very last day, they were doing research on that plant in different environments to see how these different environments affected its growth, all that sort of stuff. And they were doing really great experiments too. So we do have a question from a student. Are there any internship opportunities within biology?
Yes, we do have. We call it internships. It's kind of difficult when you talk about internships. Sometimes internships are like paid placement somewhere in industry. We don't really have that in biology. What we have, that we call internships, would be any of those, what I mentioned, research courses that you can take during the semester. So what a research course, what that means is you would be paired up with a faculty member, and rather than going to lectures and, you know, scheduled labs every week, you will work during the semester for a predetermined amount of hours. It's usually 10 hours a week in the research lab of that faculty member on a smaller research project, because it's only one semester. And many students going into the honors thesis, they will actually explore that early on in a research project course. We also offer in the summer research internships. There's various funding programs, scholarships, or faculty stipends available, where students will work in the summer full-time in a faculty member's research lab and get experience that way. The medical imaging group at the hospital has also a summer school in medical imaging, and many specifically applied life sciences students will participate in that.
Awesome. And I know we have a few more minutes left before you have to head out. And so we'll cover one of our last topics here. And the topic of course, the end goal for every student is graduation and what the next step in their future is. So whether they're going to continue their education path or if they're going to move into the career. So first, could you maybe cover some of the continuing education and where we see our graduates go if they're pursuing that?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, for applied life sciences, many students coming into applied life science, and even in biology, especially the neuroscience concentration, they are interested in what we in North America call professional schools. So they want to become some kind of professional related to medicine, so either medicine directly, pharmacy. Some students are interested to get into a veterinary school. Many of those will pursue the animal science concentration. What I also have seen more recently, especially now since Lakehead has a law school, that students will actually move from their biological science degree into law school, for example, to do environmental law or do patent law with biotechnology, ideas like that. And some students will find after they're done with the sciences that they actually like the more paperwork type idea of the science is better. So they will move on to pursue an MBA, so Master's in Business Administration, so to then apply their science background into business or policy development. Some students will really be interested in research, going into master's PhD degrees. What I've seen recently a lot out of APLS, part of it because I think I teach in this area, is students interested becoming public health inspectors, where you will look at restaurant inspections, food service inspections, those types of things. Jobs right out of the program are available, sometimes difficult with just a general degree. If you go through the applied life sciences degree with the college, definitely your chances to landing a job in a biotechnology lab technician type field are very high, because you have that hands-on training. Coming out of the general biology, general applied life sciences education, your education is hands-on, but more on the academic side, not so much on the industry side. So where we see students go there is government scientists in various areas, working with Parks Canada, becoming lab technicians. Some become science educators, either going into an educational degree, or also what we see more frequently now is science outreach, where our graduates bring science to elementary schools, science camps, things like that, where now quite a number of jobs are actually available, especially in the area here.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. We definitely covered a lot of ground in the last 30 minutes. I know that you have to head out. So once again, I want to thank you for joining us. And for those viewers that are still with us, you can stick around. You can still ask myself or Patrick questions about Lakehead University, we'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, that does cover our coverage of the biology program. If you are interested in learning more, of course, I encourage you to visit our website, lakeheadu.ca, explore our different programs within biology. You can also head over to our YouTube channel and watch the recordings of our Instagram lives, where we've met up with students in environmental science, applied life sciences, biology, chemistry, all sorts of stuff. So you can certainly learn about the student aspect or the student experience within those programs. So once again, thank you, Heidi, for joining us, and I'll let you head out for your next commitment.
Okay, thank you. It was a pleasure giving you information. But I wanted to say, if there are more biology or applied life science specific questions, I encourage you to post them, and maybe Jordan can forward them to me, and then I can answer by email whatever is still required. So we are, as faculty in biology, we are available for questions, even offline. Email usually works best for that. Okay, thank you, and I wish everyone a good day.
Thank you. Alrighty, so for everyone that's still with us, thanks again for joining us today. Myself and Patrick will stay online for a few moments to answer any related questions, or if you do have any questions that you weren't able to ask Heidi while she was here, you can always submit those right now in the Q&A, and we will certainly connect with you, get your email, and then we'll forward that on to her. And as she mentioned, she'd be happy to kind of follow up with an in-depth answer. And if she can't answer it necessarily, I know she'll be happy to connect with the proper professor within those departments. In the meantime, I want to highlight some of the things that I've chatted with some of our current students about within the Faculty of Science and Environmental Studies. And more specifically, of course, we're covering the Department of Biology. And so I have met up with a few students who are studying environmental sciences, applied life sciences, biology. Some of them are even now going into the nursing program. And also to kind of echo what Heidi was saying is, for graduates within these programs that are studying at Lakehead University, of course, if their goal is to pursue further education or continue that education or go into the master's and PhD level, those options are available. And certainly we encourage students to still stay involved, seek out new opportunities, internships, placements, all that sort of stuff. But if your end goal is also to wrap up your undergrad and then go right into the working field, like Heidi mentioned, is that we have lots of hands-on learning, and we do focus on the academics. So there is that aspect of being career ready, but also having some really in-depth knowledge around the program. What I've heard from many of our students is in their third and fourth year now, they always recommend for incoming students or first year students, get out there, step outside your comfort box, make connections with your professors, make connections with your peers, and start learning about the opportunities where you can learn about different career paths. Yesterday, I met up with Simran from India, and she is in applied life sciences. She chatted about the fact that in her first year, of course, the journey to Lakehead itself was stepping outside of her comfort zone in a sense. But it didn't stop there. She never stopped stepping out of her comfort zone. She always wanted to seek out a new opportunity, meet new people, explore different paths. And within that, she actually had an opportunity to volunteer at the Thunder Bay Regional Health Sciences Center, which is the hospital in Thunder Bay just across the street. So as Heidi mentioned before in the webinar, it's a few-minute walk, literally right beside us. And so she actually volunteers there, Simran does. And that's really exposed her to some interesting career paths, new opportunities that she had never really considered before. And so it really doubles down and speaks to the fact that getting out there, getting involved, participating in different opportunities, different events, clubs, all that sort of stuff is such an important part of the student experience, and really something that we obviously encourage within our student body. Once again, if you're joining us on Zoom, you can submit your questions using the Q&A function. If you're over on Facebook Live, you can always comment on that video as well. If you are looking to send questions to Heidi or get connected with Heidi, all we ask is that you, of course, in your question include your email address, and then we can certainly pass that on to her. If you are watching this as a recording to the webinar, you can certainly head over to our website, lakeheadu.ca. there is a faculty and staff tab there, and you can actually search Heidi's name within the directory, and you'll see her contact information. So it will list her phone number. It'll also list her email. And so although you may not be able to comment and get connected right this minute, if you're watching this as a recording, you can still reach out to Heidi directly yourself. So I'm just looking over at the Q&A. We haven't received any questions quite yet. Patrick, did you have anything to add, or could you maybe chat a bit about some of your favorite aspects of Lakehead University? We can just do a casual webinar right now.
Sure, why not, Jordan? Yeah, so, you know, as an alumni of Lakehead University, what I really appreciated the most is just the relationships I developed with my faculty over the course of my degree. So for those of you who don't know, which is probably everyone except for Jordan, I graduated from the political science faculty. So I have an honors Bachelor of Arts in political science, and I did study at Lakehead University. And what's really awesome is that even to this day, I'll walk through campus and I'll see professors who taught me during my undergrad, which is longer ago than I'd like to admit. And they'll ask me how I'm doing, ask me what I'm up to, ask me about, you know, just personal questions about my life. And it really kind of, I think, speaks to the experience that I had as an undergraduate student. You know, first year classes, you do get a wide variety of everything in arts or sciences for most students, with a mixture of compulsory or elective courses. But as you start to specialize in your degree, one of the things that I think is really cool is you end up getting into these really intimate discussion-based classes in an arts program anyways. And so I had some fourth year classes that were 10 to 15 people. And the whole course was essentially one big group discussion. That's probably my favorite thing about my educational experience at the university.
Yeah, and I think that also speaks to something that Heidi mentioned at the very beginning of the webinar, is even the two main programs, as she referenced them, Applied Life Sciences and Biology, Honors Bachelor of Science, pardon me, in Applied Life Sciences and Biology. Over the course of the 4-year program, we see roughly 120 students in it at one time, which when you consider it being spread over 4 years is not very large. Of course, we still have plenty of opportunities, and we provide so many of those opportunities to students, but it speaks to our commitment at Lakehead University to provide more personal connections with our professors in smaller classes to really enhance that learning environment. And also to speak about my experience, I'm also a Lakehead grad of the business program here. And so in my first couple of years, of course, I'm studying at my foundational courses, and my classrooms were a bit larger. I mean, 60 students is still quite small when you look at typical university courses. And then going into my 3rd and 4th year, my classes average between 10 to 15 students at most. I mean, I've even had courses where there's 8 of us in a room, and you do get into very intimate conversations, and you really dive into topics. And that's where I feel like some of my most foundational or recognized knowledge stems from. So once again, if you're joining us, if you have any questions, I know we'll probably wrap it up early today, given that we don't have our special guest with us anymore, but I know we covered quite a bit. So nonetheless, I'm excited that we got a chance to chat with biology and look into all those opportunities and programs. So I'll do my little wrap up, and in the meantime, if you do have questions, once again, you can always submit those in the Q&A function or in the comments on Facebook, or you can comment on the video if it's a recording. So for our audience members, I do encourage you to follow us. Like I said earlier, we are on Facebook, Lakehead University International. We actually have a group started for the incoming class of 2020. There's over 300 members on that group already. It's future students that are going into all sorts of programs, all sorts of levels of study, and from all over the world, including Canada as well. It's not specific to our international audience, even though it is housed within our channel. And great conversations are happening on there. So people are meeting friends back home already. They're meeting future classmates, and they're also potentially meeting roommates at that point. What we've heard from our students is that knowing people coming to campus or feeling like they're going to see a familiar face when they arrive or they start their program is such an important aspect. So we always encourage you to start connecting right now. It doesn't hurt to join us there. You just have to fill out a few questions. And then we're also on Instagram. So Lakehead International is our handle there. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we go live with a current student on an Instagram live, of course. And for the entire hour, we chat about their student experience. So we dive into student life, academics, clubs, research opportunities, their journey to Canada. So actually selecting how they picked Canada, how they narrowed it down to Ontario, and then of course Lakehead. And then leading up to the weeks before they headed off on their journey to Canada, what that looked like. And we really dive into it. So it's something exciting. We have plenty. We've done, we've probably done about 12 to 15 now. And all of those are live on our YouTube channel, as I've mentioned. A few of them are also on our IGTV channel, so you can certainly head over there and watch the recordings. We're on Twitter, Lakehead INTL, and we're also on YouTube, Lakehead University, with 2 dedicated playlists for our international audience, Lakehead International and Lakehead International Lives. The Lives playlist is, of course, where all of our recordings go. Last but not least, we do encourage you to take a virtual campus tour of Lakehead University, whether it be Thunder Bay or Aurelia campus. All you have to do is head over to lakeheadu.ca/tours. That tour is available online at any point and of time. No appointments necessary, and also it can be completed at your own pace. So if you choose to go through the first 5 buildings on the Thunder Bay campus today, and then wrap it up tomorrow, that's absolutely possible. It's up to you, and you can do it from the comfort of your own home, most importantly. So I'm going to flip over to the Q&A one more time. Looks like we haven't received anything. If you do have any questions as a follow-up to this, I certainly encourage you. You can also reach out directly to us at International, and our email is welcome@lakeheadu.ca. Once again, I want to thank everyone for joining us. And thank you for Patrick for helping with today's webinar. Otherwise, I will end it there and wrap things up. And hopefully we'll see you on Monday, where we're going to chat about the academic zone and some of those support services. Thanks again.